Hello everyone, thank you for clicking on this video and watching. We've got something kinda special lined up for you today. I say special because I'm not totally thrilled about this whole concept. We are going back to our very first videos, or some of our very early videos that we ever did at WhatCulture.com in honor of hitting 2 million subscribers on the main channel. And Scott Tilford has already done this. He kicked this off on the gaming channel with an excellent video where he revisited one of his first ever voiceovers from 2015. So I'm going to do something very similar and give you 10 confessions of a PlayStation owner after buying an Xbox One, which went live in November 2017, but was actually based on an article I wrote in January 2016 when I was still a contributor for the website and wasn't actually working for them full time. So this is something I didn't actually ever expect to happen. When I got the job at WhatCulture, it was just as a writer. So when Scott came to me and said, look, do you want to try to do, a voiceover? Would you like to try a video? I said, absolutely not. Under no circumstances. I am not going to be very good at doing a voiceover. This is not why I was hired. I am a terrified mess of a human being who can barely say his own name without stumbling, never mind do a voiceover to the standards of, the likes of Scott or Jules, who were obviously there at the time. But eventually I did cave, gave this a go, and this is the result. And honestly, I'm absolutely petrified at the moment because I've not watched this in about, 3 years now, and the idea of listening to my own voice now is horrible enough, but I've not got to just, contest with whatever presenting voice I had back then. I've also got to, come face to face with the opinions of 2016 Josh, who was barely 21 at that point, spouting crap, because as you can guess from the title probably, this is a kind of opinionated video. And I'm scared. I'm sweaty, knees weak, arms spaghetti. So let's do it. You know what, this old logo is actually, that's sick. That's good. I love that.
Despite getting off to a disastrous start, the Xbox One hasn't really put a foot wrong over the past few years. The lingering taste of DRM and the inability to share games with friends that tainted Microsoft's console at launch is finally starting to fade. And Xbox head Phil Spencer has been knocking it out the park when it comes to
Phil Spencer has continued to knock it out of the park when it comes to whatever I'm going to say next.
When it comes to writing a ship that was heading straight for an iceberg bigger than Marcus Phoenix's neck back in 2013. In fact, the Xbox One of 2017 looks virtually nothing like the machine that debuted 4 years ago. And that's left me feeling a bit jealous. But it's not just me either. There are plenty of people who jumped to Sony after an extended love affair with Microsoft's 360 who are just now starting to wonder whether they backed the wrong horse. I decided to finally chase that pie-in-the-sky dream and take the plunge on buying both systems. But while owning two incredible gaming machines might seem like the ideal situation for any gamer, the reality isn't quite so glamorous.
What?
I'm Josh from WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 confessions of a PS4 owner after buying an Xbox One.
Okay, so background of this article. I wrote it immediately after getting an Xbox One for Christmas, partly because I was trying to justify the purchase of it, because I never really owned both consoles before. I usually had to choose, I had to either get a PS2 or an original Xbox, and if I ever did, get them both at the same time, it would be years down the line, so I would never have them, in the moment, concurrently waiting for big games to come out. So this is the first time that had ever happened to me. It obviously, I got a bit too big for my boots and thought I could just tell everyone what they needed to know about all the consoles, and I'm very scared about what I'm going to say. Also, those pictures of me at the beginning are actually just ripped from some photo albums. I think that one right there is from my graduation, so there's a bit of an insight into the old private life.
Number 10. Microsoft's console needs more games.
Still true to this day.
Ahead of Sony when it came to exclusive games, Microsoft's library has since been eclipsed by the PS4's slate of upcoming releases. Fan favourites like Sunset Overdrive and Cuphead still make the...
Fan favourites like Sunset Overdrive? Nobody talks about Sunset Overdrive now. I mean, it's a really good game, but even back then, that's all Xbox had to go on, was Sunset Overdrive. Anyway.
Xbox One a tantalizing system, but most of the other games have either been disappointing or made their way over to the PS4 at some point anyway. Sony fans, on the other hand, well, they're still basking in the glow of Horizon Zero Dawn and Uncharted 4, and they can only look down on their Xbox One counterparts while they wait for the likes of God of War, Marvel's Spider-Man, and The Last of Us 2 to drop over the next few years. Microsoft
The Last
really
of Us 2 yet to still drop.
Outside of
Tragic.
franchises, there's nothing in the pipeline at the moment that makes picking up an Xbox One worth it. Titles like Halo 5 and Gears 4 were decent enough, but where's the killer app on the horizon? Sure, there's Crackdown 3 and... Wait, Rich, is Crackdown really it?
I love that. Even back then, Crackdown 3 was the thing you were hanging the Xbox on. I was genuinely looking forward to that game, and my god was I burned. I think that point still stands, you know. For as much as the Xbox has done well, it still has no games, more or less.
Regular updates give Xbox an edge. Monthly updates have completely reshaped what the Xbox One can do. Not content to let its console stagnate, Microsoft has been committed to regularly updating its machine with new features that give players a reason to check back every single time something changes. For a company that harbored so much ill will a few years ago, it shows that Microsoft is dedicated to restoring its gamer-first approach, constantly trying to improve the experience for players. Sony, on the other hand, well, they've been stingier than Mr. Burns giving out Christmas bonuses when it comes to releasing firmware updates for the PS4. Coming months and months apart, Sony's recent updates
it was me, but
barely improved anything.
Why?
With the biggest change being the ability to whiz around the menus at lightning speeds. With only 5 firmware updates in 4 years, though,
this
Sony
I would
needs to
still
have
agree
accomplished
with.
something
Like,
much more
for as
substantial than that.
but good as
Number
Sony has
8,
been this
online
generation, they've been
subscriptions dictate which console
absolutely
you'll play the
naff
most.
with
These
updating the
days, not
console
only
with
do you have to
worthwhile
splash
features.
out on the hardware itself, but you've also got to consider the myriad of subscriptions that come with both consoles. With Microsoft and Sony locking online multiplayer behind a paywall, that's already 2 subscriptions you have to think about buying, while exclusive features like Xbox EA Access or the PS4's PlayStation Now just add to the cost of getting the most out of each console. Obviously though, you have to be loaded to juggle every one of these different subscriptions.
True, you do have to be loaded. The amount of money that I pay on subscriptions I don't use now is shocking. If anything, I've only gotten worse and not taken my advice in this, because I still have games, you know, Xbox Live Gold, I still got Xbox Games Pass, I've got PlayStation Now that I'm using to play Shadow of the Tomb Raider on, I've got both different online subscriptions, I haven't got EA Access, because I haven't lost my mind yet. But still, like, that is a problem I think that's only gotten worse since.
Especially on top of monthly payouts to providers outside of gaming, like Netflix or Amazon Prime. So you're going to end up prioritizing one system over the other anyway. If you decide to pay for PlayStation Plus or Xbox Gold, that's going to dictate which versions of multiplayer games you're going to pick up. Meaning that even if you own both,
wow, I hate when I do the pretend laughs. I must have thought it was funny at the time.
Graphics make a difference. Anyone who says graphics don't make a difference is a liar.
I love and hate the ballsiness of that line. I'm not sure if you heard it, I might have been talking over it, but I say anyone who says graphics don't matter is lying. Like, I shouldn't do that in my first ever video. That's so opinionated. I just come out and call the audience, who don't know me or even like me at this point, liars. That's a bad move, old Josh. That's not going to win you any fans. That's a rookie error.
But the technical performance of a game, from its frame rate to its resolution, has a massive impact on your enjoyment of any given title. Nobody wants to have to buy an inferior version if they can help it. So if you own both consoles, there's no way that buying a version of a game that's technically worse is appealing, which unfortunately for the Xbox One is almost always how their third-party releases turn out. The differences in graphical fidelity aren't much of a problem if you can only buy
It's funny
one
this now,
version
because
of
this
the
is
game.
kind of
But
in
owning both machines
defense of
means
the
you'll always go with
PlayStation
more technically
4 at the
capable,
time, but now
which in most
Xbox One
cases
X is
means
the
you'll be
world's
playing the
most
majority
powerful
of games
console,
on
so
PS4.
I think...
Number 6, backwards compatibility isn't a big deal.
You're just wrong, Josh. You're just wrong. It's just not true. Sorry, I've completely cut off my other point, but I've just heard myself say that backwards compatibility isn't a big deal. I don't know how I'm going to defend this, because that is a madness take. That why would that be not a big deal? That's what all the consoles are going to base everything around of going forward.
The Xbox One backwards compatibility reveal was one of the biggest jaw droppers of the generation.
How am I
so
going to
far.
defend this?
No company has ever implemented a feature like this post-release. Hell, more often than not, when Microsoft or Sony talk about backwards compatibility, it's to announce that it's been phased out of their machines, rather than being put in. But if you're not the type of person who routinely plays classic 360 games, then you're not really missing much by not having this feature. It's a nice option, but unless you're dying to play Red Dead Redemption before the sequel comes out...
At this point, I should say I've just stitched myself up there. I've just said, you know, unless you're dying to play Red Dead Redemption before the sequel comes out, I've literally just gone through Red Dead Redemption 1 on backwards compatibility on the Xbox One. And granted, it wasn't before the sequel came out, but I've just literally done exactly what I've just took the piss out of there. Thank you, old Josh.
All of those 360 titles that are gathering dust in a drawer somewhere have no reason to be touched. As it stands, allowing gamers to replay titles they probably only touched a couple of years ago is more of a convenient feature than a killer app, especially in an era where all the old games you want to play have been remastered anyway. Number 5, game announcements become less exciting. Every time a big event like E3 rolls around, the anticipation and debate surrounding every press conference gives me a reason to get up in the morning. Yeah, it's a bit childish, but seeing if the opposing team has that one announcement that completely obliterates anything your side has to offer can make for some of the most memorable moments of your entire gaming life. Remember the cheers and applause Sony received when they announced the PS4 at a lower price and with less restrictions than the Xbox One at E3 2013? Do you think you'd have the same feverish reaction if you knew you were going to own both consoles at launch anyway? Although big game announcements in general are still exciting in themselves, their impact just isn't felt as much because they no longer spark that creative fire that comes with siding exclusively with one console over the other. Number 4. I
do think that is partly true. I do think when you have both consoles, the announcements are slightly less exciting because you don't have a team to root for, as it were. And I don't think that's necessarily healthy. You shouldn't try to be, side yourself with one company over the other or make that part of your personality or whatever, because that's probably unhealthy. But at the same time, it is quite fun to want to root for Sony to have a killer reveal or Microsoft to take Sony down or something like that.
Which means that where your friends are is more important than ever before. So with big titles like Destiny paving the way for a multiplayer future, the console you're going to get the most out of is the one all your friends are playing. Otherwise you're in for a lonely, isolating experience. Number 3. There's no point owning both if you don't care about exclusives.
Yeah?
If you're a PS4 owner wondering whether or not to pick up Microsoft's console, you only need to ask yourself one thing. Do Xbox One staples like Halo, Crackdown, and Gears of War do it for you? Likewise, if you've never
the delivery on this is so bad. I can't even hide anymore. I'm bored by my own voice. How did anyone sit through this video?
Owning both consoles not only complicates matters if you're interested purely in multiplayer.
I'm not gonna lie to you. When I was doing this back in the day, I was so nervous. I must have done it about 5 times in the studio, making an absolute fool out of myself. And then I gave it to Rich to edit because he edited the voiceover part. I think James Heppel edited the actual video, and I was so scared to get the feedback back. Because you know when something's not good, but you know it's hard to do better. I had no voiceover experience at the time. And this is my first ever crack at it, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like I recorded this a few times. I had a few tries in the studios, recorded it, gave it in, and it went live.
The PS4 Pro and
it was
Xbox
terrifying.
One X
it's still terrifying.
Better than their base versions, with the latter in particular eclipsing the original in terms of sheer teraflop power. Obviously, you don't have to buy everything these companies release, but the more consoles you do pick up, the more you feel burned and left out when an even better model hits shelves a little while later.
I think that's quite true, you know what I mean? When I first got the two consoles, when they announced the PlayStation 4 Pro and the Xbox One X, I was kind of a bit miffed because I didn't want to have to buy both of them. And I had to choose. I didn't have the money to get all of the consoles, so I ended up going with the PlayStation 4 Pro because of the exclusives. But there's always a part of me that feels gutted that I didn't get to experience, the Xbox One X being the world's most powerful console and making the most of this 4K telly that I have. I do think that is potentially an issue because when it comes down to the next console cycle, I might not get both at launch because what if then they release the updates and then I'm going to have to buy them both all over again?
Number 1. They're too similar
I
to
agree,
justify owning both. Although it might be tempting to pick up both Microsoft and Sony's consoles, unless you're a real hardcore fan, it'll probably only cause more headaches than it's worth. Both machines are just too similar to each other.
What I love as well from this video,
lacking any major differences
and like the game footages. That's not even a sentence. I'm really nervous. The game footage that's used, like Call of Duty World War II. I don't know if any editor that we have now would use Call of Duty World War II just because it's out of date. And yet here, that was like the big thing.
Would unlock the gates to a gaming paradise. There's nothing to be found but disappointment.
The gates to a gaming paradise.
You have two bricks that do the exact same thing. Wondering why you weren't smart enough to buy a console that actually deserves to be jealous over, like, say, the Nintendo Switch. So that's our list. I've been Josh from WhatCulture.
Did you like the emotion at the end of that? So that's our list.
And let me know in the comments whether your experiences of owning both consoles match up with mine. And don't forget to like,
my experience of owning both consoles doesn't even match with mine, so I don't know how anyone else would have.
Subscribe and check out the website for even more lists like this.
Gosh, can you believe that person said that about that particular video on...
No, I can't, Jules. I can't believe I said that. I mean, that's mostly fine. Honestly, my opinions haven't changed too much, but there's some mad stuff in there, man. Like, backwards compatibility doesn't matter is the biggie. What was I thinking? This is the problem when you're 21 and you feel like you can take on the world. You feel like you know everything. I didn't know anything. I don't know anything now. And yet I'm making these claims on my very first video, getting thrown to the wolves. This was the first video like I ever put out, obviously, and it got over 1 million views straight away, which is still quite rare to this day. So that was a completely mad, strange experience, because while I'd done a lot of writing before then, it's much different to have your voice and your face attached to something. There's almost an anonymity that comes with writing on the internet, where you feel like you can get away with more because, you know, it's less personal. But here, that's so personal because it's me saying it and it's my face attached to it. And especially at the time when no one knows who you are, they just rip you to shreds. And I recall the comments not being nice for this one, but I'm not going to check that because it's fine. I'm totally over it. And now I don't ever have to watch this again. So yeah, if you like this for whatever reason, could you give us a like, share, and subscribe, like past Josh said, and look forward to more of these in the future. As ever, thank you ever so much. We can only do this because we got 2 million subscribers on the main channel, and we continue to do quite well. And, you know, are incredibly thankful for your support on the gaming channel as well as everything else. So genuine thank you that you gave this daft idiot a chance when he didn't know anything and couldn't talk properly. And the fact I can still do this today is something of a miracle, and I will never take it for granted. So cheers, and enjoy the rest of your day, and look forward to more of these coming over the next few weeks, I guess. They won't be as bad as this, I promise. My soul just tried to escape from my mouth.